All right. Howdy, howdy. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. I forgot something. I forgot but I'll get to that in a second. So anyway, good evening. Give me 2 seconds, and I will be right back. Hold on. Come on. No, there's something I have to share with you that I got in the mail, but I wanted to make sure I had the letter too, and of course, I had the letter sitting out there, and I will get to that in a moment. But anyway, welcome, welcome. Good evening. I hope we break. That's right. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope your weekend was good. But anyway, before we get started, I want to remind people that if we have any interruption with the stream, which does happened in the last stream, we were almost all the way through, and then we got bumped off. That happens, unfortunately. So if we do have any interruptions, I will get back on right away. You may not get notifications, so you may have to look for it. That is the beauty of YouTube and part of the games that they like to play. There's not really a whole lot we can do about that. But anyway, that's part of it. That's how it goes. I would also like to remind everybody that this is a very family-friendly oriented channel. So I would ask you all to be decent in the chat. And also be kind to each other. And if you can't there's simple rules. If you can't abide by that, the awesome people that you see lit up in blue will boot you out of here because we're not going to tolerate it. Okay. So anyway, all right. So we're going to be talking about are there people or groups that we need to be worried about. We're going to get into that. We're going to break down a couple things, and I'm going to take you back to the past a little bit, and we will go with that. But there's definitely groups that we need to be concerned about, but we will get to that in a moment. Before I get started, I wanted to show you guys, and this is actually pretty cool. I got this package in the mail, and I put it on my table, and I forgot about it. I've had it for probably 2 weeks, and first of all, so let me apologize to the people that sent it first. But what I got here, okay, and actually, I want to read you the letter first. Our closes some plant markers we are making. We started our prepping journey about 10 years ago and are finally moving to our homestead in the next few months. We are building our own container house, and our son is building his. He listens to you on YouTube as J&L at Life. Okay. We are doing some crafting on the side under the name Living Wind Creations. So if you guys are interested in what I'm about to show you, look up Living Wind Creations, and that's where you're going to be able to find these guys. Okay. Thanks for the info you pass along through your channel. And this is Kathy and Jeremy, and I won't say their last name. But I got to show you these. These are really, really cool. Okay, so you go to plant something and stuff like that. What they're making is these little things that you stick in the ground, and then they're made out of plastic, so they're going to last. Like this one says cabbage. We have this one says greens. We got lettuce, Swiss chard, and this is just an example. Watercress, kale. So I mean, whatever you're growing, collards, bok choy. Okay, that's just some of them. And they send me a whole bunch of these. I mean, those were the green ones. We got chickpeas, sweetgrass. There's sunflower right there. Lavender and purple. We have tomatoes. Now you stop. You are fine. Corn. So again, whatever you're planting, you would just there's melon. You would just take these, put it in the ground, and then it's right there, and you know exactly what you have. What you have coming up. And so they sent me, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna pick up a bunch of it. I just kind of wanted to show you. Like here's. We got yellow potatoes, yam, turnips, rutabaga, red potatoes, radish potatoes, onions, green onions, garlic, carrots, and beets. And that's just the one package. Okay, so it's got all those different things in there. They sent me, and I'm just going to show you guys because like This is not even all of them. So there's a bunch of them right there. I mean, they sent me all these things. So first of all, there's Sweet Bay. But yeah, so bell pepper here on that one. Okay. But these are awesome. I really, really like these because the stuff that you get when you plant is like that little paper thing and you stick it in there and it's wobbly and it doesn't work well. These are something that you can use year after year after year. They're not going to break down. They're going to be fine. So I think that's a really, really cool thing. So I want to thank them again. And again, I'm going to put it up here one more time. Living Wind Creations. Okay. So if you're interested in something like that for your garden, look them up. I believe they're on Facebook. And so that would, or, type in Living Wind Creations. And I dropped one more here. Hold on. So, yeah, see, so they're very, very cool. All kinds of stuff. So I think that's very, very neat. So thank you very much for sending those. And I apologize that I didn't get that out there sooner. So anyway, all right. You're like, where's the topic? Why isn't he talking about the topic? I'm going to get into that. We're going to get into that right now. Okay. So, but I wanted to share that because, again, I've had this for a couple weeks and it was sitting on my table in the kitchen and it got buried and I forgot about it. So, it's unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes around here. Other priorities come up and you think of other things and it just kind of, that happens. But anyway, so let's get into this topic. We're going to go back first. And of course, the article that I read, of course, is gearing towards extremism. They're focusing on white supremacy, of course, but it goes well beyond that. There are so many different groups out there. Vanning with Ada, thank you very much, Ada. I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. There's so many groups out there that are extremist groups, and it goes along all color lines. So we're not going to go, oh, well, there's this ones or that ones or this ones, but we're going to talk about this one thing first, and then we can break it down into these other groups, and we'll get into that. But there was a group. I don't know if you get. Some of you may remember. Some of you probably are not old enough to remember. But back in 1984, there was a group called the Order. And they were very, very quiet. Nobody had heard of them. And the way that they actually found out about them is an individual in Pennsylvania got busted for passing phony money. And so, of course, he squealed and told on the rest of them. And the leader was out in, and I can't even remember which state, so I'm not even going to say which state it was, but it was out in the Midwest. Okay. And they were a white supremacist group, and they were trying to upend the federal government. They actually had committed a armed robbery of a armored car. Ended up getting like $3.8 million from that one. And they were, like I said, passing phony money. They killed a Jewish talk radio host. And he was going, on his radio show. He was doing a lot of anti-white supremacist stuff, and it pissed him off, so they actually gunned him down. So there was a lot of stuff that they were doing, and they were trying to, they had like a hit list of, they were going to attack congressmen and senators and the whole 9 yards, because they were trying to usher in this whole thing of, just a white society type of situation, okay? So it ended up that the leader of this group ended up in a firefight with the government, and he was killed. And a lot of his followers ended up doing seriously lengthy prison sentence. And we're going to get back to that. They were charged with all kinds of stuff, and they were given like 250 years. So a lot of them have died in prison. A lot of these people that were involved in that, they died in prison. And the ones that are still alive are never getting out. Okay. So that's not even like, an issue. But they were talking about that in the context of, could this be happening now? And could there be groups of people? And of course, they're gearing everything towards, the white extremism is what they're gearing it towards. That is absolutely out there right now. Absolutely out there. There are groups out there that are looking to overthrow the government. There are groups out there looking to start race wars. You have black militant groups, you have white militant groups, you have Hispanic militant groups, you have Asian militant groups, okay? You have groups of people that are going to come together because of a common hatred of somebody else for whatever perceived reasons that they hate those other people, okay? You know, and that's what happens, unfortunately. And that's never, ever going to stop. But you can't lump everybody into one category or say that all these people that do this are part of that. So what do I mean by that? So let's go with the off-grid community, right? Off-grid community, generally speaking, and then in not all cases. So please don't think that I'm trying to lump it into one thing. But the majority of people that are preppers, that are off-gridders, happen to be white. There are a lot of blacks that do it. There's a lot of Hispanics that do it. There's a lot of other people that do it as well. Okay, I mean the Mormons, that is their way of life. They're part of their thing is to have a year's worth of food available if you're Mormon. So, you know, but anyway, there is a lot of the people that do it are white. Okay, so what they want to try to do, a lot of times, the government things are going to try to lump all of the people that are in the prepping community as extremists because of, you know, maybe our lifestyle choices, wanting to separate ourselves from not so much any, how do I explain this? From not from some society per se, but from what society is doing and getting away from that rat race. So you have a lot of people that are getting out, getting into more rural areas and starting up their homesteads and doing that. And again, that's all kinds of people that are doing that. So it's not just white people that are doing that, but that is a threat to the government in the aspect of you have people, you have this group of people, it's a small group right now, but it is growing, that want to be free as we possibly can be. So they're going to try to lump us into a category and make people look at us in a certain way. And the show that comes to mind with that, of course, is Doomsday Preppers. Let's go back to that show and look how they portrayed preppers and off-gridders. Pretty much just preppers. They were like, you know, and this is one of the things that I always hated about the show. Always hated about the show. They would say that, like, they would have the people on the show and they would say, I'm prepping for a Yellowstone event. Well, anybody that preps realistically, and the average person does not know this, most people that are preppers, we prep for whatever, as you guys know, of course. We prep for whatever. We prep for the unknown. We don't prep for one certain event that's going to happen. That's like would be the stupidest thing you could possibly do realistically, okay? But what they would do in the show is they would show the people's preps and what they had, and then they would break it down at the end, and they would say, you know, two old people on a couch. Off-grid community gets a bad rap. Preppers get a bad rap. Yes, they do. Absolutely, they do. And thank you very much for the donation. We get a bad rap because they label us as crazy because we don't want to live like everybody else does. We want to be free, and that's scary to people. You know, the whole living off grid thing. You know, I always ask people when I tell people that I live off grid, I'll say to them, what's your interpretation? What do you think when you hear somebody's living off grid? And so many times people say, oh, no running water, you know, no power. And, you know, and I try to explain to people, listen, most people that want to live off grid, we want all those things. We want running water and we want our own power and stuff like that, but we just don't want to have to buy it from somebody else. And so that's the freedom part of it. That's not having, you know, like your water bill every 3 months or having your gas and electric bill come in monthly that you got to pay. And if you don't pay it, they'll shut you off. Those things happen constantly. Guys, we're at 907 people in the chat. We're at 269 on the thumbs up. So I'm going to ask real quick if you would shoot a thumbs up if you have not done so already. And I thank you for doing that ahead of time. Again, it really does help with the algorithms as well. So the more interaction we have, the better it is for the channel. So thank you for doing it for that reason as well. The third reason, of course, is I like to see a lot of thumbs up, being honest. So thank you for that reason as well. Also, again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get all notifications as well. So, but let's get back to this. So they're going to put us in this category. And are there absolutely extremists out there that are, gearing up and ready for the end of the world fight and the whole thing like that, and they're looking for that fight. They want that fight. There are. And those groups, guys, again, they go along every race. If you saw, there was some march that they had, and they had the group, it was an all black group, and they were like armed to the teeth and all dressed in black and thinking that they were, like tough guys and doing their march and doing their thing. Those type of groups, and it's like, and there's white groups like that too. So I don't want you to think that I'm just picking on the black folks. But those type of groups, those type are dangerous because there may be, the most part, they want to be ready and whatever the case may be, but there's going to be a core contingent in there that is looking for that fight. They want that fight. They want that, that confrontation and stuff like that. And that never ends well. That never ends well. So getting back to that group that I was talking about, the Order, back in 1984, when all those guys got arrested, they got them on, gun charges for having automatic weapons, full auto weapons, and murder and armed robbery and everything else. Hey, Dusty Delta, for your preps. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude. Thank you so much for the donation. But what happens is, and I want you guys to remember this. People like me, I'm a threat. I'm a threat to the government because what I stand for, I'm anti-government. I don't like the government, but I'm not looking to overthrow the government. But I'm definitely, will guarantee you, because of being on YouTube and because of what I do, I'm definitely on a watch list. Guaranteed 100%, that I'm on a watch list. Have I been monitored in the past? Wouldn't shock me in any way, shape, or form. But here's the key. I'm not looking to overthrow nobody. I'm not looking to take over nothing. I want peace. That's what I want. I want to do my thing. I want to make sure that the people that I care about and the people in my family are going to survive whatever happens, because I do absolutely 100% believe that there's something that's going to definitely happen. So you need to be ready for those things. And so does that make me an extremist? I don't know. Whatever title people want to put on stuff. Hey, Doc Mac, thank you very much for the donation. I do appreciate that. Thank you. But again, it's like, because of what we do, because we prep, because we have large quantities of food, we do stock up on guns and ammo. Preppers do, right? Of course. We have medical supplies. We have all kinds of stuff for every contingency that you could possibly think of. We're doing it. All right. That is a threat because, again, we could survive without them. The government wants obedient, reliant people. That's what they want. They want people relying on the government to take care of everything. They don't want that independence. So people that live outside of that is a threat, because especially if we do it and we're successful at doing it, that is showing an example to people that, hey, you know what, this is possible, this can be done. And it makes people think, and they start thinking, they're going, wait a minute, I want you to remember something. Every one of us out here, and I for me, years and years and years, guys, and I will be the first to admit it, 100%. Okay. What you stand for is being self-reliant. They don't want that. 80K man just said, and you're right. And that's exactly what I stand for. Rely on yourselves. Rely on your community of the people that are like-minded people that want the same thing that you want. They have your back. You have their back. That's what it's all about. Okay. But I want you to remember, and I've been in this boat myself. I've been on that hamster wheel, and I was on that hamster wheel for many, many, many years, until I woke up one day and realized how badly we were all being played. Slaves, every last one of us, regardless of what color you are, doesn't make no difference. There's not about a color thing. All slaves to the system, because you're inundated on television. You need to have the latest and the greatest this, and you need to have this pair of sneakers, and you need to have these jeans or this t-shirt or this brand to show that you're cool or you're in. I can remember in high school, the kids were all wearing Nikes because that was like the thing. You had to have Nikes. I didn't have Nikes because I didn't give a crap. I didn't. I wore jeans and boots all the time, but and then I would just get crappy sneakers because I just didn't care. I didn't care about that status symbol. I didn't like it even back then. So I was outside that in, like everybody had long hair or short hair. So I grew my hair long. That's what I did because I didn't want to be like everybody else, so it's that independent wanting to be independent. And then it's like you said, you get into the system and you're working that 9 to 5 or more. Obviously most of us worked more than 9 to 5. But you're working all the time, you're taking care of your family, you get sold this bill of goods that you have to have the big house, 2 cars, the toys, the this, the that, and the next thing you know, you're into debt up to here and you have to go to work to pay all those bills, to pay all that huge interest. And that's where they get you, especially with the credit cards. The credit cards is like the worst thing that you can get really easily drowned in that debt very, very quickly, very quickly. Now, I'm going to admit, I have credit cards, but what I do, I will use them for the month, and it is a 30-day window for me. When that bill comes in, I pay the whole credit card off. And I'm not out there spending all kinds of crazy money. I'm not, okay? The most money that I've spent recently was on more stuff for the raised beds. Hey, Mountain Girl, the prepping industry has imploded, especially since the pandemic. I'm with you, Prepper Nurse One. My end goal is simply to live in peace, and I will continue to prepare. Yep, exactly. And that's what it's all about. Thank you very much for the donation, too. And that's a great statement, and you're 100% right. It's about peace. It's about freedom. It's about growing, knowing what you grow, knowing where it came from, knowing that it's not all full of chemicals and sprayed with all kinds of crap, and then you're ingesting that into your body. Okay? Raising my own chickens, I know what they're taking in, so I know where my eggs are coming from. Hey, Keisha 17. Thanks for all the info. You're very welcome, and thank you very much for the donation as well. I do appreciate that. But again, so I want you to think about this, okay? And this is really important. There's nothing wrong with being part of a prepper group. Nothing wrong with that at all. So if you want to be a 3%er, if you want to be an oath keeper or part of the Proud Boys or any of those things, or any group, if you want to be in any group, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But what you need to be careful of, okay, because the government does this on purpose as well. They will send infiltrators in there, or they'll get somebody and they'll turn somebody in the group and turn them into an informant. And then they're going to encourage you, okay? They're going to encourage you to go, let's make the weapons automatic. Let's do some, let's modify them. The minute you modify any weapons that you have from semi-automatic to full automatic, man, they got you. They got you. And they will come in and they will raid you. And then they got you by the cajones. And then you're going to go to jail for a long, long, long time, okay? You do no good to your group, to yourself, to anybody if you're sitting in a jail cell, okay? So you really have to be careful who you're getting involved with, who you want to associate yourself with. Like I'll tell people right from the very, very beginning, if they want to get involved with me and with what I'm doing, this is not about trying to take over squat. This is not about, let's get hand grenades and this and that. No, I'm not doing anything illegal as far as weapons. Never, ever would, because it will get you jammed up in a heartbeat. So you have to be really smart about what you're doing. You can prep, you can get ready, and you can be ready when the hammer drops and things happen. You do what you have to do at that point. That's what it comes down to. That's what prepping realistically is 100% about. 100% about. Hey, Jeff Emery, for the garden and the greenhouse. Thank you, man. I do appreciate that. I know I was just out today, and thank you very much for the donation, too. I do appreciate it. I was just out today, and I was watering in the greenhouse, and we got some rain days coming up, and I'm going to be in the greenhouse. There's a lot of things that I want to transplant. I got to take you guys in there again anyway, so I definitely will do it on a rain day. I'm going to be doing some transplanting, getting things into bigger containers and stuff like that, and being ready for when we can put a lot of the stuff in the garden itself. A couple more weeks. Hopefully, I'm hoping that within 2 weeks or so, we can get a lot of stuff in the garden, and hopefully the extended forecast will coincide with that. Normally in New York, we don't plan outside until the 31st of May. So if I can get it in there 10 days early or 2 weeks early, if the forecast is looking like we're going to have good weather, then I'm going to try to do that. So, but New York is mostly anti-gun laws. There's a lot. There's a lot here. Yeah, it depends on what part of the state you're in, though, too. That's a big part of it. Like New York City, super restrictive on what you can have and what you can't have. You guys can go ahead and ask Angry Prepper about that, because he's right in New York City and how restrictive they are down there as far as that goes. But again, you get out of the cities and you get out into suburbia, you get out into the country, it's a lot different. The mind, especially in the country, the mindset's a lot different, So, but you know, so anyway, real quick, guys, we're up to 1,100 people in the chat. I'm going to ask again for a quick thumbs up if you haven't done it, because we're at 448 on the thumbs up. And so let's jump that number up there. Let's see how high we can get that up. Really, for showing support for the channel, I would appreciate you doing it for that reason. Also, again, with the algorithms, it really helps with the algorithms. So the more interaction we have, the better it is for the channel. So I thank you for that reason as well. And of course, the third reason is I do like to see a lot of thumbs up. That's being honest. It's just a game to see how high we can get. And so, you know, I appreciate it for all those reasons. Also, again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, am I rain collecting? Yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. Again, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. I have a 550-gallon thing off the gutters, a tank that I keep so for the rain collection off the gutters, and I use that for all my watering. So for watering the garden, watering like now in the greenhouse as well. Oh, hold on a second, guys. I'm missing that one. Mountain Kayaker, interesting observation you made in your prior video today about travel ban from India to U.S. unless maybe wealthy people. Well, again, you know, some people said, well, letting the you know, diplomats and stuff like that get back too. But you know what? That's got to be part of the reason why you don't. If you're going to do a travel ban, you need to do it like right now. Nobody else comes in, because if things are so bad, and I want you to think about this too, guys, and this is why a lot of times that I think we're being played, because if things were so horrific, like they try to scare you into all the time thinking, oh, things are so bad and you better go out and get your, you know, if things were so bad, they would shut down that southern border in a heartbeat and let nobody in, and really put the troops down there to make sure nobody came in. If things were truly that bad, why would you lock down all these states, restrict people from doing all the things that they want to do, but yet keep the borders wide open and just let the surge of people come in here all the time? And they're not catching everybody. And I want you to remember that too. They're not catching everybody. And then when you have you know, we're going to start no travel from or to India starting, you know, on May 4th. So they let you know like 6 days ahead of time. That's BS. Because then, like I said earlier, all your rich folks that are in India that say, man, things are getting bad here and we want to get out of Dodge, they're all coming here. You know, if they or where other places around the country or world, I'm sorry, but a good place to come is always America, right? You know, so that's you're going to see those type of things happening. And so who's to say none of them are sick? You don't know. So again, but now I've had people said in the comments earlier today when I did that video that parts of that variant are already here. And I'm going to tell you what, just like with the whole situation with China, they want it here. They want these worse variants here, in my opinion only, okay? Because they want to continue to scare people. It gets people in line. It keeps them in control. Again, I want you all to remember, let's not forget what was going on around the world, just before this whole breakout of this virus. You had Egypt, you had in the UK, in the United States, you had in Hong Kong, all kinds of places. What the other place I'm trying to, there was a bunch of places around the world. France was another one too. People were rising up. They were saying enough is enough. You've squeezed us enough. We're not going to take it anymore. And they started to protest. They started to really get organized and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, magically, this pandemic comes out and everybody's now locked down and they have to be good and they can't be bad. And if you break this, then you're going to be arrested. Remember those things, guys, because that all plays into it. That's all part of the control part of it. Again, my opinion, an observation that I have made watching stuff. But now let's think about Hong Kong now. Okay, let's think about Hong Kong now. What's happened since the virus happened in Hong Kong? And I'm just going to use that one place as an example, right? So you had all these people were protesting, didn't want to, they didn't want the China total control. China has come in. They shut them all down. They arrested a tremendous amount of people, and you hear nothing about it. That's not making the mainstream news. That's not making the mainstream news. But I'll tell you what, they locked down Hong Kong. China did, because it's theirs. They can do what they want. That has affected the trade part of it, I don't know yet. I haven't heard anything about that, because we're talking that they were saying that that would affect billions of dollars in trade, because Hong Kong was definitely separate. It was part of China, but separate from China. So the trade restrictions that we had against China didn't correlate with Hong Kong. So it was like a loophole, so they could continue to push their goods out there and do what they wanted to do. But now I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard that they've stopped that trade, and I haven't heard that they've kept it going either. So I would be curious if anybody knows that information. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that. But always comes down to control, control, control. And it's always about money, and it's about power. Three things. All three things, it's what it's always about. Money, control, and power. And if they can scare you and intimidate you and bullying you into submission, then they win. And that's a fact. That's a fact. Real quick, guys, I want to talk about my website, preppernurse1.com. We have the Prepper Nurse One community there. Hold on one second. Mountain Girl said, I used to worry about getting to my bug out location depending on the situation, but it would have been a long haul. These days, I wake up and realize I'm finally at my bug out location. Good feeling. Always have backup plans, of course. Yep, absolutely. Great point, and thank you again for the donation, and you're right. If you can live at your bug out location, guys, full time, I fully encourage you to do so. Hey, Pamela Sherry, we wouldn't need junk from China if Americans weren't so lazy. You're right. You're absolutely right. They need to get back to work and make the tools that we used to make, the things that would last. That's what we need to do. Thank you very much for the donation as well. I do appreciate it. So back to my website, preppernurse1.com. We have the Forefathers, which is the CBD and hemp store there. If you are interested in a CBD or hemp product, if you go to my website, preppernurse1.com, you will see the Forefathers logo. If you click on that, it will take you to their website. And if you do decide to make a purchase over on their website, when you check out, make sure you use the discount code PrepperNurse1, and you will save yourself 15%. Hey, Jeremy Taylor, is there a good way to garden a bit if you're in a townhouse with only a moderate-sized deck from outside space? Would you plant in that situation? Absolutely. You utilize any space that you have. If you have an outside deck, you can do potted plants. You can do potted plants inside your house as well, to be honest with you, okay? You can do it that way as well. You can take potted plants and you can have them inside and outside, and you can rotate them so they get pollinated. That's another option that you have with that too. But, I definitely encourage you, even if your space is limited, to definitely garden as much as you possibly can. Anything that you're doing to help yourself is a good thing. So it's definitely a good thing to do. So okay, so let me go back real quick to the website again. We also have the Prepper Nurse One community on my website, which is a great place to meet like-minded people. So you can go there. It is free to register. There is no credit card information is asked, but it's private. So that's why you do have to register. Go and read the message boards, connect with like-minded people in your state or your country. And that's just another way to meet people, to connect with people. Also, we have, if you go on my website, preppernurse1.com, and you click on store, it drops down. You will see Legacy Foods. That is the Legacy freeze-dried foods. Click on that. What we have available